And within about 18 months, I was back to full-time work and health. And that was about 8 or 9 years ago, and have been back to full-time health ever since.
So how old were you when it started?
When it started, I was about 25. I had
So you were like
about it.
very, like you were athletic. So you had
Yeah.
many years to train. It's like if you weren't that young, if you were into the I know, the going to the gym and in sports, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. And from about, 25 to 28, I was pretty well laid out. And
Yeah.
yeah, then through that experience, though, I would say, in retrospect, um, it's something that really helped to put me on track and on path in a very deep way, and ultimately has led to the creation of or formation of what we call the Brain Trust, which is a assembly of neuroscientists and clinical psychologists that have helped us develop a program that can be used. It's called Reorigin, and it's really aimed at helping people who are struggling with chronic conditions like I experience, whether it's post-infectious syndrome or post-viral fatigue, like we're seeing with long COVID, chronic fatigue syndrome, and a number of other conditions, including anxiety and depression, burnout and overwhelm. And we also do have a number of entrepreneurs that are using the program for things like high performance as well, because the same principles about behavioral approach versus avoidance definitely apply.
So tell me about the more like business side. I guess that I totally understand when somebody has a chronic fatigue syndrome or fibromyalgia, or it really makes sense to me that it will be so important for them to go and try to train their physics in the way that they think differently. But when somebody is an entrepreneur or he has stress in his work or fatigue, why would he say, okay, it's related to the way I perceive things? They would say, I'm working too much, or it's too hard for me, or I have so many challenges as an entrepreneur, right? So
Yeah.
how do you relate to that?
I think where people come to the realization on their own is when they start to make a lot of changes, to the external circumstances. Anyone in business has gotten probably deep into the road of productivity and biohacks and different things. And oftentimes what I think a lot of people find who have wound up at Reorigin is after making so many of these changes, ultimately they still feel the same. And so something in them resonates as true when they hear that it's not only these circumstances, it's not only the situation, it's not only the environment. There's a more complete story, and that more complete story involves our perception of it, our response to it. And so a lot of people, yeah, they do come to this through personal experience. I did myself also, very guilty of all the productivity hacks and trying to change this and that and micromanage this and that, and realizing that actually that's important stuff to do. There's merit in that, but there's also merit in learning how to manage yourself and manage your nervous system. And for the people that realize, that's an important aspect for them or could benefit them, then they sort of come into Reorigin. And basically there's three phases of the overall Reorigin journey. I like to say it's, the three phases are out of overwhelm, into power, and onto purpose. So that first phase is just like it sounds. It's about learning to become less reactive, learning to increase our resilience and our anti-fragile nature so that we can encounter the challenges of the day-to-day, but encounter them as challenges instead of as threats, which is a very different approach and response.
Right.
That allows us to get out of overwhelm so we can start to actually make progress. That next phase then, what I call being, coming into power, this is where we see a lot of like the actual healing happening, the physical recovery from physical conditions, as well as mental and emotional conditions. This is where people start to experience a new way of being in the world, where they're no longer moving forward through the mechanism of exertion. That's to say, pushing a lot of force, but they're actually tapping into their, innate power and ability. And learning how to produce more or be more effective with using less energy, so becoming more efficient. And then once you can do this enables you and supports you to get on to doing the things that are really important to you. So making progress with your purpose while you're here.
So do you think it's related to the fact that people, especially right now after the pandemic, are really aware of the balance they need in their life between what they're doing at work and what they're personal life is and what they want to achieve in life, you know, or the like waiting at home made them think differently about what they're doing?
Oh yeah, you know, I think COVID and the social distancing has given everyone, I'll frame it in a positive way, has given everyone the opportunity to really self-reflect and introspect and take inventory of what we want for ourselves, and really, I think most importantly, to shift gears a little bit from the mentality of only like, what is it that I want, which is a question that we may have been asking previously, to what I think is a more important and profound one, which is, how do I want to feel? You know, what experience do I want to have? So I think overall, of course, it's been very challenging, and we're seeing a lot of fallout from the COVID infection itself with stuff like long COVID, but also from social distancing and isolation. You know, we're seeing radical increases in anxiety screenings, up about 93% since prior to COVID.
Wow, it's double? That's what you
Yes,
mean? It's almost double.
exactly. Correct. Yeah. So the people that are coming forward and